Hello everyone, it's Angela with Happy Little Stitch Shop. Welcome to our Snow Village Stitch Along. Thank you so much for joining in this Stitch Along. I am so happy to be stitching with you. The Snow Village series is done by Cottage Needleworks, and it is an 11-part series that we will stitch consecutively over 11 months. We received the first month in February. And we are receiving month 2 in March. So I'm gonna go through a little bit with you today how to start your stitch. Some of you have probably already started, some of you maybe haven't started yet, but I've had a lot of questions about how to start the stitch, placement of future stitches, how many stitches to leave between each stitch that we're doing. So I'm gonna try to answer all of those questions for you today. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you is a picture of the finished Snow Village series, stitched as one entire piece. You can choose to stitch it individually as individual pieces if you want to. It was designed to be stitched as one piece. That's how I'm going to be stitching mine. However, it's your stitch and you should make it your own and do whatever you want to do with it. So here is a picture of the entire series stitched as one piece, and this picture will help you with placement of future blocks. So when you receive the next pattern in the series that we're going to be stitching, you can refer to this picture to know where to place it around the center one. So here's a picture of the Snow Village series. Now let's grab your happy mail that you received from Happy Little Stitch Shop with all of your Snow Village goodies in it, and we're going to go through the items that you received. First up, you received the first Snow Village chart in the series. This one is called Snow Banner, and this is what it looks like. It has all those cute little snowmen in the middle. You also should have received a piece of cloth. This is 16 count Aida in the color Rain, and this is by Wichell Imports. And you also should have received a thread kit. Now this is not the Snow Village thread kit, so don't be thrown off by the different colors, but you should have received a floss kit, which will look something like this with all sorts of floss in it. The floss that you get in this kit will be good for the entire series, so you should have enough to cover the entire series that we're stitching, all 11 charts. Okay, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna open up your chart, and you're gonna wanna pull that out so you know where to start. You're also gonna wanna open up your cloth and lay that out. And then I'm gonna take a minute and I'm gonna show you how to find the center of the cloth, because this chart, as you saw from the picture we showed earlier, starts in the center of the entire series. So I'm gonna show you how to find the center of your cloth and then get started stitching in the center. Okay, everybody, so by now you should have taken your cloth out of your package and laid it all out, and we're gonna work to try to find the center. Don't be distracted. I already have the stitch done in the center of my cloth, so we're kind of going backwards to do this, but I'm gonna give you an idea of how to find the center and then how to count to get to the closest stitch start point. The good thing is you do not need to trim your cloth for this stitch along. The 11 charts that we're going to be stitching for this series are going to use up the bulk of this cloth, so there's no need to trim it. We're going to start at the center and then we're going to work our way out from that. So let's take a look at our cloth. So here's the cloth. The way that you find the center is you're going to fold it in half twice, that way and this way. And if you have a seam roller, you know, you could press it like that to make it easier to find. But you just need to fold it. Usually you'll be able to find it after folding it just once and pressing it a little bit with your hands. So this tells me that the center is right about here. So then what I did, I decided to start on the second L in Village. So I counted according to the pattern to get up to the top point, the top row of this second L banner, and that's where I started. And then after I finished that, then it gave me a good center point to work off of to get to all the other pieces for the stitch. So that's how you're going to get started with your first stitch. Find the center point, count to the nearest stitch start location, and then just go crazy and start stitching. Then we'll move on and I'll show you the placement for the next pattern. Okay, so after you receive the first month snow banner chart, you'll receive month 2, which is this one, and this one is called Skate and Sled Shop. This one is placed to the left of the center piece. So let's take a look at our cloth. Here's the center piece that we stitched. This is the first chart in the series called Snow Banner. And now our Skate and Sled Shop is going to go over here. Between each of your charts that you are stitching, you will leave one stitch space that is open. So if you look closely right here, I'm going to leave this stitch open, and then that space is going to be open between this space and this space. So in order to start my next chart, which is going to go here, I'm going to need to do a little bit of counting to get over to where I want to start. You can always start over here on the right side if that's what you choose. I'm more of a left-hand starter. It makes more sense to me to start left and then kind of work my way through the stitch. So you're going to take a peek at your chart and figure out what is the best place for you to start. If you want to start on the right-hand side because that's easier, or if you're going to do lots of counting to get over to the top left side. So take a look at your second chart and figure out what you're most comfortable with, and then we'll come back and we'll get started for chart 2. Okay, so now we've taken a look at our second pattern called Skate and Sled Shop to figure out the best starting point. Now don't laugh at me and don't think that I'm crazy, but after looking at the pattern, I didn't want to count all the way to the left side. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I might typically do it, but I feel like it's the easiest way to do it and it's going to make the most sense. So when you look at your pattern, you'll see that there is a mound of snow at the bottom of this chart. And there are, look at the bottom right side, and you'll see that it starts only 2 stitches away from your other mound of snow in your center one. So we leave that empty space, so that would be 1 stitch that's called for between each of the patterns, and then the second stitch is where it starts. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my cloth upside down, and I'm going to stitch it upside down because I like going from left to right instead of going backwards right to left. So I'm going to flip my cloth around, and that's how I'm going to start stitching. So let's take a look at the cloth, and I'll get started and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So again, the Skate and Sled Shop goes here. We're going to leave 1 space open because that's what the designer calls for. And then we're going to start on the next one to do this mound of snow to get started. And then once you get this first row in of snow, then you can work from left to right. So I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to start my stitch like that. I'm going to secure it back here. Get your stitch secured, and then I'm just going to stitch this first row going upside down. This is not, you can do it however you want to. This is not typically how I would start the next row in a block, but it seems to make the most sense for this particular stitch. So that's what I'm going to do. So once you get that first one secured, which I pulled up a little bit of the piece with it. I'll go back and fix that later. You're just going to keep stitching across and do this row down at the bottom. And that'll get you started on part 2. So when I flip this right side up, this is going to be my bottom row for the snow, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to finish the rest of our second chart right here. And then again, here is the picture for the entire series, Stitched All as One, so that for all of your future shipments, you can take a peek back at this video and look to see where the next one goes. I will also link Country Cottage Needleworks website down below. They have all of the information for each of their series that they have available and how they're supposed to be laid out and stitched. So the link for that will be below in the description box. Otherwise, this should give you a good idea of how to get started with Snow Village, and then we're just going to keep adding each chart as it comes in the mail each month. And by the end, we are going to have a beautifully stitched 11-part Snow Village for you to enjoy winter after winter. Thank you so much for joining me today and tuning in to this tutorial. I hope this helps you have an idea of how to stitch this series with us and how to get started. And I hope you have as much fun stitching Snow Village as I'm planning to. And please be sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Happy Little Stitch Shop. Please be sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, also Happy Little Stitch Shop. And have fun stitching Snow Village by Country Cottage Needleworks. Happy stitching, everybody. Take care.